Alright, so what's going on, everyone? For the Camp Transformation Center here in Cypress, this is Coach Santos here, and today I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a workout format, but mainly today we're going to be talking a little bit more on form. Okay, so during this time as quarantine, like I said, I'm going to give you guys a few exercises that you guys could work on, but today I'm going to go over how to properly perform them without any sort of pain and without yourself causing yourself any injuries with these movements, okay? So that way when this quarantine is done and you guys come back to the camp, you're gonna understand how to do the movements properly without any sort of pain whatsoever, okay? Now, if you wanna do this with the weight, that's fine, but I strongly suggest do it without any weight so that way you get the form correct. So when you add the weight, it's gonna be a lot more beneficial for you, okay? So for the first one that we're gonna be going over with, we're gonna be going over the squats, okay? Now, it's best if you do have a mirror in front of you, okay? If not, that's okay. Like I said, you could set a camera of yourself right there, and you could also record yourself so that way you can see, you know, how's my form? Do I need to critique myself with that? There's nothing wrong in looking yourself in the mirror or recording yourself, okay? So the first step you wanna do in a squat, make sure your feet are shoulder length apart, okay? That's a big thing, okay? So you wanna make sure your feet are shoulder length apart, make sure your feet are planted down on the floor, okay? Another thing too that usually helps a lot is having your arms out in front of you. What that's gonna do is make sure your chest and your back is nice and straight where you're not gonna be leaning forward, okay? So you wanna make sure your arms are out in front of you, keep your chest up, back straight. The first thing you wanna do in your movement, okay, is pushing those hips back, okay? So you wanna make sure that those knees are not going past your toes, okay? So when you push the hips back, you're gonna come down, go about parallel to the floor, and then come back up, and you want to make sure you are squeezing those glutes, okay? So, one more time, so that you can see, you want to go parallel, and when you come up, nice and easy, squeezing those glutes, okay? So, once you get better at that, then from there, that's when you can start adding a little bit more weight, okay? And also, like I said, if you want to go a little bit lower, that's good, that's okay, that's fine, but just make sure you do it with proper form, make sure you keep your chest up and your back nice and straight, okay? The next one we're going to be going over is a sumo squat, okay? With this one, this is also going to be working a little bit more of your quads, but this one actually emphasizes a little bit more of your inner thighs, okay? Now, when you set yourself up for the sumo squat, okay, you're actually going to go a little bit more in a wider stance position, okay? So with the regular squat, we're in shoulder width. I would suggest taking about an inch apart from your hip width, okay, and making sure your toes are slightly pointed outwards, okay? The reason why you don't want to have them inwards is because you're going to make the knees cave in. So have your toes slightly pointed outwards, okay? Another thing too, same thing, chest up, back straight, okay? Make sure your arms out in front of you so that way it helps you correct your form and your posture from up above, okay? Another thing too is the same motion. You want to make sure you're pushing those hips back and then going down, okay? Now with this one, when you set yourself up, okay, you're gonna go a little bit right here parallel, and then come back up, same thing, you wanna squeeze the glutes, okay? Since you are in a wider position stance, okay, you're actually gonna not have too much range of motion, but in contrary, you're gonna get a little bit more of those inner thighs working, okay? So this is a little bit more of a hip motion, okay, so you are gonna feel this a lot more in your glutes, as well as those inner thighs. Okay, so parallel and then back up. So that way you guys can see the side view. When you set yourself up, you go parallel, up, and then squeeze those glutes. Okay, so that right there is for the sumo squats. Okay, now for the next one we're going to be going over, squat jumps. Okay, now this one's going to be a little bit more advanced, but I'm going to be going over more of a modification one, so that way for those that cannot be doing jumping, that's okay. I do have a modification for that one, okay? For these squat jumps, when you guys are setting yourself up, you're going to set yourself up like if you were going to be doing a squat. So your feet, same thing, shoulder width apart, okay? When you are jumping, you want to have your arms go back, so that way you kind of get some more momentum coming up, okay? When you are preparing for your jump, okay? You want to start off same thing with your hips back, okay? Slight hip hinge, so that way you get the quads, hands, and your glutes nice and activated, your arms back, so that when you come up and jump, you're going to get that momentum up there, okay? So when you set yourself up, right here nice and easy, coming up, and and then landing back down in a squat, okay? So that when you come up, you're going from there, okay? So you guys can see in the side view when you're up here, okay? Down, up. Okay? And also another thing, it's very important that you guys land in a squat. And the reason for that is so that way you're not putting too much pressure onto your knee joint specifically, especially landing your patella. So you want to make sure when you are landing, that you're landing in a squat, so that way the force goes onto your quad muscles as well as into your glutes, okay? Now, for those that cannot do the squat jumps, okay, that is okay. A more modification, same thing. Your feet are shoulder width apart. When you're coming down in the squat, you're gonna come up and on your toes. So when you land, okay, you're gonna land back down in the squat. So when you come up, on your toes, and then land back down, okay? That right there is gonna help you work on your form, but it's also gonna help you as well work on your landing as well, okay? So you have two different variations when doing the squat jump as well, okay? Now the other one we're gonna be working on, okay, it's just very big that we all trainers love to do, is a squat hold, okay? So with the squat hold, okay, when you guys are setting yourself up, same format, feet, shoulder width apart, okay? Same thing, you wanna make sure that you have your chest up, back nice and straight, okay? Push the hips back. You're gonna go parallel and you're gonna hold it there, okay? So when you guys set yourself up, so you guys can see the side view, okay? You're gonna hold it there. So you wanna make sure your legs are parallel to the floor. That way you're working on those quads and that way you're really feeling that burn, okay? And then make sure you do not lean forward. You do not wanna have your chest falling forward and your back rounded. So you wanna make sure you keep those arms up. That way it helps you from not leaning forward, okay? So you just wanna hold it there, go nice and parallel. So that when you come up, you're gonna feel those tension onto those quads, okay? So that's for that one, okay? Now we're gonna be doing a little bit more of the hamstrings and glutes, okay? So for the first one we're gonna be going over with is deadlifts, okay? Now, when you set up for your deadlift, you're gonna have the same feet position as if you were doing a squat. So feet shoulder width apart, okay? When you're setting yourself up, okay, this is all mainly gonna be on the hips. Okay, so when you guys are noticing, which is you guys gonna get a little bit better on the side view, okay, so your feet are shoulder width apart, you're gonna have your chest up, make sure your back is nice and straight, and what you're gonna do, you could also even pretend to have a bar in front of you, make sure those knees are slightly bent, you do not wanna lock them out, knees are slightly bent, push those hips back, keep that chest up, back nice and straight, push those hips back. That way you feel a stretch on those hamstrings as well as in those glutes. When you come up, you're gonna thrust your hips a little bit forward so that way you get a little bit of those glute activation, okay? And you're gonna repeat that process again, okay? You wanna be able to feel the stretch into those hamstrings as well as to those glutes, okay? So when you're doing those deadlifts as well, okay? All right, and that is how you're gonna be doing those deadlifts, okay? Another one we're gonna be going over are sumo deadlifts. Same thing like the sumo squat with your same feet position, okay? So, same thing, you're gonna get into the wide stand, okay? Remember, if you forgot, get into your squat form, take 1 inch, okay, out from your shoulder width, and then make sure those toes are pointed out, okay? It's the same format like if you're doing the sumo squats, all right? Just nothing's changing. The only thing that's gonna be changing, we're gonna be doing a little bit more hip movement, okay? So that way you guys can see, okay, when you're in this wide stand, make sure those knees are bent. You never wanna lock out your knees. Always make sure those knees are bent. Keep the bar in front of you, chest up, back straight. You wanna push those hips nice and out. That way you're feeling those stretching that hamstrings, those glutes. That when you come up, squeeze those glutes at the top, okay? So nice and easy, push those hips back. Make sure the chest is up, back nice and straight, okay? And coming back up. A good way to test yourself if you're doing it properly, okay, is when you're holding it there, okay? Pause for a few seconds. If you feel it in your hamstrings, good. If you feel it in that lower back, okay, it's one of two things. Your either knees are locked out or you're not pushing your hips far back enough, okay? That's why it's always important to have either a mirror or a phone to record you so that way you can see, okay, I gotta move my hips more back, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. So like I said, this is here to improve your guys' form so that when you guys come back, it's gonna be a lot more easier for you guys to set yourself up, okay? Another one that we're gonna be working on is a single leg deadlift. This is gonna be a very advanced. This is gonna work a lot on your balance as well as gonna get a lot of your core working, okay? So how this form is gonna go, okay? It is gonna be on a single leg, so if you do not have balance, you're more than welcome to grab onto a ledge, a couch, or even a wall just to keep you guys self-balanced, okay? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna have your feet flat on the floor. The other leg is gonna be up in the air. Same thing, you wanna make sure that knee is bent, okay? Now, the important part, keeping that core tight. Keeping it tight, okay? Same thing, push your hips back. And then when you come up, boom, squeezing those glutes, okay? A good thing that's really gonna help, first, grab onto a wall or ledge, a couch, anything that you have, okay? Make sure those knees are bent. Practice on keeping that core tight. So once you keep that core tight, okay, it's gonna make it a lot more stable for your movement so that when you come up, boom, you're gonna be squeezing those glutes, okay? But like I said, at first, if you do not have good balance, that's okay, that's fine. Like I said, grab onto the couch, and that's actually gonna help you keep balance from there, okay? Now, another modification, if you cannot do that one, okay, is also a staggered deadlift, okay? So with the staggered deadlift, how that's gonna be working, you're gonna have one foot forward, the other foot is gonna be matching the heels onto your toes, but the back foot is gonna be on the toes. This is a more modification to help you prepare for your single leg deadlift, okay? So make sure both knees are bent, even though automatically this one will be bent. This one, just make sure you have it bent. Same format, chest up, back straight, core tight, push your hips back. That way you feel the stretch in those hamstrings. That when you come up, you're squeezing those glutes, okay? Now, how can you make that a little bit more advanced, okay? You're gonna bring that foot a little bit more back so that when you're actually doing it, it's gonna mimic an actual single leg deadlift, okay? But make sure you guys work both sides of your legs so that way you know which side is your weakest, which side is your strongest, so that way when you guys are doing it, you know which one you need to work on a little bit more. So when we come back to do lower body for the camp, both legs are gonna be strong, okay? Now, another one we're gonna be working on, lunges, okay? Very big on lunges, okay? But we're gonna be going over 3 different ways on how we do the lunges, okay? We're gonna be going over forward, backward, and side, okay? So when it comes to going the forward lunges, a lot of misconception is a lot of people tend to lean forward, okay? That, we're not gonna be doing that, okay? So we're gonna teach you guys properly on how to be performing those lunges, okay? So since it is a single leg movement, because you're doing one leg first, you gotta keep that core tight. Keep yourself nice and stable because you don't wanna be tipping over side to side, okay? When you're setting yourself up for your lunges, okay? First thing you always wanna do is take a step, okay? That's always the big thing, take a step first, okay? Back foot is on the toes, front foot is flat, and then you're gonna go straight down. That way the knees are not passing your toes, so that when you come up, you're getting the quads and the glutes working, okay? So, you take a step first, chest up, back straight, core tight, come down, and back up, okay? Another thing too, your knee does not need to hit the floor, okay? That's a misconception. It's only going as low as where you feel the stretch, okay? So when you're doing your lunges, if you feel the stretch right here, that is your cue, okay? But if you're someone that doesn't feel the stretch, okay, then yes, if you need to have your knees touch the floor, that's okay, but just make sure you work on your form, keeping that chest up, back nice and straight, keeping that core nice and tight, okay? Another one that we're gonna be going over are backward lunges, okay? Now, it's the same format, okay? You're gonna take a step back, but when you take a step back, that one's gonna be on the toes, and then you're gonna go straight down. Come back up, gonna go back, and straight down, okay? It's the same format since it is a single leg movement, core tight, chest up, back nice and straight. Now, instead of having your arms stood forward, if you do not have good balance, that's okay. Another good one, you could actually do it out to the side, so that way you can kind of control yourself, okay? And then when you get better, you can actually lower down your hands, so when it gets a little bit more easier, then you could do it to your hands on the side, which is gonna involve a lot of your core, okay? So make sure you keep this in mind. You take a step back foot on the toes, coming straight down, back up, okay? And then you're gonna do the same thing on to the other side, okay? Next one we're gonna be going over, it's a little bit more advanced. This involves a lot of your hip mobility, is your side lunges, okay? So when you set up for your side lunge, your feet are actually gonna be a little bit inside shoulder width apart, okay? When you are doing this one, you're gonna take a step out. The leg that has a step out, that one's gonna be bent. The one that's staying in place is gonna be straight, okay? Not completely locked out, okay? But just have it a little bit more straight with a slight bend on your knees, okay? Same thing, push the hips back. So we get that side lunge, and then when you come up, boom, right there, nice and easy, okay? And you're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Take a step, okay? Push the hips back, really feel that stretch, and then come back up, okay? So a little bit more of a diagonal view so that you guys can see. So you're gonna take a step, hips back, and then coming back up, okay? So the key thing is you wanna make sure you're pushing those hips back, chest up or back straight. So you take that step, okay? Come back here, nice and easy. And then working your way back up, okay? So those are the three variations on your lunges. You got forward, back, and you got your side as well, okay? Another one we're gonna be working on are some hip bridges, okay? So this one, you guys are more than welcome to go onto the floor, okay? If you have a mat, that's even better, so that way you get some grip onto your feet, okay? So how this one is gonna be going, okay? You're gonna lay down nice and easy, flat, okay? So you want to make sure that your feet, okay, are flat on the floor. You want to make sure those knees are bent. You do not want to have them too far out or too close in. You just want to have them in a comfortable position where your knees are bent and where you're laying down, okay? Now, when you're doing those hip bridges, okay, you want to keep your feet flat, bringing those hips up to the ceiling, okay? And then only go as far to squeezing those glutes, okay? Anything more than that, you start getting that lower back, okay? So when you're setting yourself for the hip bridges, try to bring your hips as high as you can to the ceiling without using your lower back and only filling those glutes as well. So bring it back down, up, and squeeze, okay? So just nice and easy, working on that squeeze and trying to injure that lower back, okay? Now, if you want to get a little bit more practice into it, a little bit more glute activation, okay? Okay, what you're gonna do is have your heels, okay, on the floor with your toes up. So when you come up, that's gonna activate a little bit more hamstrings and it's gonna get a little bit more glutes, okay? So coming up and down, okay, this makes it a little bit more advanced, okay? Another one that we're gonna be going over, okay, we're gonna be going over a single leg hip bridge, okay? So just like a regular hip bridge, your feet going to be in a normal position. One of your legs, okay, is going to be bent at a 90 degrees, okay? This leg is not going to be doing anything. It's just there in midair. It's just there floating. The other leg is going to be right here laying on the floor. Same thing. Try to bring your hips as high as you can to the ceiling. Now, since it is a single leg movement, you want to keep that core nice and tight. You do not want to flare your body too much. So when you squeeze the core, arms down, up, and squeeze, okay? Keep the core tight, up, and squeeze, okay? And make sure you guys are doing other side, okay? So that way you're working both sides, okay? You're gonna notice which side is stronger and which side is weaker, all right? And this is the perfect time to work on that form so that way we can get it started, okay? All right? And that is it, okay? So you guys saw the different exercises that we guys have right here available. So like I said, you guys can set up a workout form that you guys want to tailor to your guys' workout program as well as to your goals. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to message us. And like I said, we're always here to help out, okay?